everyone, and Merry Christmas. I hope and pray you have had a blessed and wonderful day. I hope it has been filled with all kinds of blessed and wonderful memories and things that being able to watch maybe the kids or the grandkids or whoever as they open gifts or this or that. I hope it has definitely been a blessing. I hope you have ate as much food as you humanly can without busting. I definitely hope and pray there were some great and wonderful desserts. Amen. Yeah, I definitely hope and pray it has been absolutely a blessed and a phenomenal day. And this evening, I just want to keep things short and sweet and to the point. But with that being the case, I want to ask you all, if you don't care, would you all do me a favor, okay? Whenever it comes to Christmas time and just everything else, I try to encourage our family, as I would encourage you this evening, to just have some time of reflection, okay? And so this is just a few questions and a favor I'm going to ask you all to do for me, okay? Just on an individual basis, would you answer 3 questions for me? Or just hypothetically, rhetorically to yourself and everything. But the first question I would ask you to consider this evening is just this. How has Jesus blessed your day? How has Jesus blessed your day personally, okay? How have you been able to see God's influence over the day, okay? Maybe it was something just personal that, you could feel the presence of God at some point, different things like that, okay? You could just, you knew for a fact that God was present through your day. The second question, how was today an encouragement to you? Even, you don't want to say apart from God, but just in general, like what point just made you smile and say, man, I'm thankful to be here, or I'm thankful for this moment in this day of, maybe one of the grandkids came up and gave you a big hug that was unexpected, or maybe there was a memory that occurred that it's like you just know that it was just something that made you smile and just said, I'm thankful for family today. Third thing I would ask you is, what through today do you wish you could have done that you could implement for next year? Maybe you're sitting there and you say, as a family, we should have read the Christmas story before we opened gifts this morning, or, we should have had a time of sharing before we ate Christmas dinner, different things like that. What's one thing that you think, as you reflect on today, that you wish you could implement for the day, that you're saying, we definitely need to do that next year, okay? But the third and the final thing is, this is just one last favor I'm going to ask for everyone to do, okay? Would you be willing to do this, all right? So, for those of you as parents that have kids still in the home, I'm going to ask you to do this, okay? Would you do me this favor to gather everyone together for one last and final time for that evening? And would you be willing, husbands, I'm going to ask you, as the father, as the man of the home, would you be willing to gather everybody together, have a word of prayer, and just, give praise and thanks to God for Him sending His Son to die on the cross for your sins, but as well to give praise in God for the year that you've had and the blessings that you've had? Would you, as a man, as the father of the home, would you be willing to lead your family in one final time, one final prayer for the end of the evening, just to gather in the presence of God in one mind, one spirit, one accord as a family, to say, God, we love you and we thank you. It may have, maybe you've had a great year, maybe you've had a rough year, I don't know. But either way, just to say, God, no matter what happens, you are still good. And kind of like Joshua 24:15, as for me and my house, as for me and my family, we are going to serve the Lord, no matter the circumstance, no matter the issues, struggles, joy, gladness that's happening and going on. God, you are our focal point. Would you do that as the man of the household? Secondly, maybe you don't have kids at home. Maybe it's just you and your spouse and everybody's gone home for the day and you finally reach that point. It's like, thank goodness it's quiet, or, okay, I have a moment to breathe. Can I ask you, much in the same kind of like with, those of you that have kids and everything, if it is just you and your spouse at home, can I ask you to do me a favor? Okay, and go with me on this one. I'm going to ask you to sit down on the couch together, or maybe it's in bed together right before you go to sleep. But hear me out on this. I'm going to ask you, would you take each other's hands and would you both just pray? The husband as well as the spouse. Would both of you just have a moment to where you all can pray and you can say, God, we appreciate you for how you have influenced our lives. I mean, even being able to pray to God, there again, it's a time between the two of you as husband and wife, but as well, it's a time to bring God into the mix. I mean, Ecclesiastes makes it clear, a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. I mean, it is the two of you and God in the middle of it. Would both of you, first of all, just pray and say, God, we thank you. But within your prayer, will you pray to God as well as just kind of sharing with each other in that prayer? God, thank you for the day you brought us together in our marriage. Thank you for that union that you have established. Thank you for maybe it's the financial blessings. Thank you for the home. Thank you for our family. Thank you for our kids. Thank you for our grandkids, great-grandkids, whatever the case is. Will you just have that moment to where each of you, I'm going to ask both of you to pray to God and say, God, thank you, because you're going to hear both of your perspectives as to how God has worked in the middle of all those things, okay? And so can I ask you, husband and wife, will you gather this evening, hold each other's hands, and just spend some time praying to God before you go to sleep, okay? Will you do me that favor? Nextly, I would just ask, maybe you're, home this evening and you're on your own and everybody's gone and you're kind of sitting in the stillness and the quiet of the night, okay? If there's anything I've learned about most people, it's that even if you're by yourself, your sleep patterns are all over the place, and more than likely, whether it's 8 o'clock in the evening or if it is 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody is awake somewhere, more than likely, because the sleep patterns are off or this or that. Can I ask you, even if you're on your own this evening, will you do me a favor? Will you call a friend of yours? Will you? I don't care if it's 8 p.m., 8 a.m., 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. Whatever time, will you do me a favor? Will you call another individual this evening or at some point over the next little bit? Will you call that individual? Will you pray with them over the phone? And I'm going to ask, because you all may end up calling each other with the same, implication in mind. Either way, will you call somebody and just say, hey, I want to pray with you. I want to, just spend some time sharing with somebody else about how God has been good to me this year, or what kind of just role that God has played in your life for the year. Would you be willing to call somebody and just pray with them over the phone and say, this is how God has been good to me. This is how God has moved and worked in my life. And just have that bond and that time to share with somebody else. But lastly, maybe you've just stumbled onto this video in this Christmas season and you're like, well, what's this guy trying to say, okay? Even if maybe you don't even fit into those categories, maybe you've just stumbled onto this video and you're saying, okay, I don't even know what to pray or how to pray. I don't even know God. Can I just ask you to do me a favor, okay? It doesn't matter whether you have a family, you're on your own, it doesn't matter, okay? What matters in this moment is maybe you're looking and you're saying, it'd be nice to have some kind of assurance, or there'd be something nice to kind of close out my day with, okay? Would you do me this favor? Would you just sit in the silence, put your phone in the other room, turn it off, turn the TV off, no distractions, not like your phone is going to buzz next to you. I mean, will you do me a favor and just sit in silence for 5 minutes, okay? Sit in silence for 5 minutes, and I want you to ask this question, okay? Because there again, this is who our God is, all right? And if you've stumbled onto it, do this. Get into that into that place to where it's silent, no distractions, and this is what I want you to ask God, okay? Will you just simply ask God, will you reveal yourself to me? Okay, that's all I want you to do. Take 5 minutes and just open it up that way in silence and say, okay, God, will you show yourself to me? That's all I want you to do. Just sit there in silence afterwards. If it takes you 2 seconds to say, God, will you reveal yourself to me? That means I want you to spend 4 minutes and 58 seconds sitting in silence, okay? That's all I want you to do. But apart from that, I hope that this gives you a great and wonderful close to your day. There again, it's the bond with people. It's the bond with family and your kids, your grandkids, whatever the case is. It brings that moment together, and it puts a wonderful end to hopefully a blessed and wonderful day, and especially a day of where we can say it's not about the gifts, it's not about anything else, but it's about the fact that God, you have done these things for me. You have, been a blessing over my life. Would you do that for me? I hope and pray you have a blessed and wonderful evening, whatever time it may be. I hope it's been good. And otherwise, I guess we'll hopefully see you Sunday morning as we come to worship God for the last time of 2024 before we move into 2025. It doesn't feel like it should happen, but yeah, here we are. But I love y'all. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful evening, and we'll talk to y'all later. Thank you, guys. Bye.